In today's video, we're going to walk you through how A/B testing your ads works inside Google Ads to continue improving your click-through rates and conversion rates over time. And this is the exact method we've used for dozens of service-based businesses in different industries that allows us to have ads with click-through rates of over 10% consistently, like we have here with this landscaping company. And also, more importantly as well, conversion rates of over 20% in a lot of cases as well, as we have here for this roofing company. And now one of the first things you want to do when making a new Google Ads campaign in the first place is make all of the ad groups that you want to run for the different services you offer and the locations that you serve. And what you want to do from there then is make one or two responsive search ads per ad group. And as we can see here, for example, in this artificial grass installation ad group, we have two active responsive search ads. And the reason why I don't say three responsive search ads to start out with is that if we want to actually test these ads and figure out which ads have the better click-through rate and conversion rate, each ad needs a significant amount of impressions, ideally more than just a few hundred, to figure out which ad is actually likely to perform better. And there isn't any exact rule for how many impressions an ad needs for an A/B test, but in general, the more impressions you have, the more accurate your data is. And that's why you don't want to have three ads from the very beginning, because it'll just take a lot longer for each ad to get a significant amount of impressions for you to know which ad is better, and you can start testing a lot quicker with just two ads. Now, in some cases as well, for some specific campaigns I'm running with really tightly themed exact match ad groups where we might have, a lot more than just maybe 15 ad groups that are active like we have here. In those cases, it's fine to start off with one responsive search ad per ad group. And then what you can always do with the main ad groups that are getting most of the impressions, you can always just start adding a second ad to those straight away and start your A/B test from there. But for the vast majority of campaigns with the normal structure like we have here, with maybe 10 to 15 or so ad groups, you can start with two responsive search ads in each ad group and let each of those ad groups gather enough data to actually make a decision on, which has the higher click-through rate, which has the better conversion metrics, and then it's a case of pausing the ad that is performing worse in terms of click-through rate and simply making a new version of the existing ad with a higher click-through rate and continuously trying to beat the previous winner from there. And now we're going to get into exactly how I'd specifically recommend doing one of these A/B tests inside a Google Ads campaign. And if you'd like a free checklist that covers everything you need to remember when actually doing one of these A/B tests, plus everything else you need to remember when setting up and managing a Google Ads campaign from start to finish, I'll leave a link for this free checklist down below. And if you are a service-based business that would like help taking over and managing all this for you, I'll also leave a link for that down below as well. And so when we are A/B testing ads, the first thing we want to keep in mind is that we're optimizing for CTR or click-through rate, because at the end of the day, the whole purpose of the actual ad copy is to get the click, whereas the landing page is to get the conversion. So we are mainly looking at click-through rates when it comes to optimizing and A/B testing our ad copy, but you also want to have a look at the conversion metrics over here as well, because one big exception for why I wouldn't pause an ad with a slightly lower click-through rate, let's just say this ad had a click-through rate of 5% less than this ad here, but if this ad here has a lot more conversions and a much higher conversion rate, then that's the one exception for why I wouldn't pause an ad with a lower click-through rate. But in general, the whole purpose of the ad is to get the click, which is why we are optimizing for click-through rate when doing our A/B testing. And so the exact way then to do an A/B test inside a Google Ads campaign is have two ads, as we mentioned, inside that ad group, and let them accumulate enough impressions. So ideally at least a few hundred each before you decide which one has a higher click-through rate, or otherwise it's just not enough data to really give you an accurate idea of which one has a higher click-through rate. And one thing you also want to remember to do as well is go to campaign settings. And what you want to do down here as well is make sure that your ad rotation is set to do not optimize. So that way then when you have multiple ads running in each ad group, that Google will give each ad roughly an equal amount of impressions. Because if this is set to optimize, then Google will very quickly just start showing the same ad all of the time. And then the other ad will never really get any traffic, and you won't know for sure whether that's an ad that's likely to perform well or not. So what you would do then when you have two ads inside an ad group, each of which have been running for at least a month and have roughly an equal amount of impressions. Now we wouldn't do this in this case because this is a newer ad with a much lower amount of impressions overall, But let's just say each of these ads had 2,000 impressions each. What we would do first of all is look at which one has the highest click-through rate and assume that the one with the higher click-through rate is the one that we're going to keep on. And just double check that the one with the lower click-through rate isn't converting a lot better than that one. But assuming that it's not, then what you would do then is pause the ad with the lower click-through rate, because this one here, for example, has a click-through rate of about 3% less. And then what you would do is go into the winning ad, the one that actually has the higher click-through rate, and see what it is about that ad that you want to change and actually test for the new ad. Because when it comes to A/B testing, the one thing you want to make sure you do is not just make a brand new ad, because you won't know what was actually responsible for the increase or decrease in CTR. And let's just say this was the winning ad, and in this case we have get a free quote in minutes as our offer pinned in position 2. What you could do is basically make the exact same ad again, but instead for position 2 of this new ad, you could have something else, for example, 15% off all landscaping services. And then what you would do is you basically start again, where you give the new ad now enough time along with the existing ad to generate a significant amount of impressions. And from there, it's just a constant game of trying to beat the previous ad in terms of click-through rate, while also keeping an eye on your conversion metrics over here as well. And so to really help when it comes to writing ads that are continuously going to improve your click-through rates like we have here, it all comes down to writing the most highly compelling headlines and descriptions possible. And if that's something you'd like help with, I'll leave a link above to another video on the channel that goes through exactly how to write headlines and descriptions that actually get clicks inside Google Ads.